Previously on Madman.
Previously on 90210.
Previously on Melrose Place.
Previously on Bitcoin Crypto Morning TA.
Now you can see what we don't want to do here. We'll make this a little bit bigger here. We don't want to carve in a bearish engulfing candle, which would have to be we close in the next little bit at 86.8 or under, because it would just look like dag nabbit the perfect little reversal, wouldn't it? You get to the top, you put in a bearish engulfing candle, and then you head down. Now if we head down, we would head down and test this channel 84.8. And the significance about this is what I don't like. This was the bad news, kind of, is that 84.8 is that futures gap, right? Now these are all self-fulfilling trader prophecies, right? This is the only real power I think retail kind of has, because they dogpile in on these psychological front runs, right? So this is why these gaps usually close, because they're like, oh my God, this is a signal, right? It's really like the only self-fulfilling prophecy signal that there is in the markets. Everything else is just probabilities, but these have a high probability. So 84.8 would be where we close that gap. And I mean, I look at it, if that gap closes at 84.8, it's almost like the last hole in the boat was plugged. Now it's smooth sailing, goddammit. We got that one little hole. We know we're heading off into the ocean. We all know we got that sneaking suspicion about that hole in the back, that futures gap at 84.8. Lord love a duck if she didn't do just that. It's weird. That was Monday. The price was at 87. And of course, that sneaking suspicion on that goddamn gap. They just like to fill that gap, the self-fulfilling prophecy of the market. And sure enough, let's see what we actually hit here. Did we hit 84.8 exactly? Yeah, 84.8. That's 84. You can't see it, but it's 84.8 ta-da-dot. Now, is that the hole that we had to get into, or is there a deeper downside? Well, I would hazard to guess that perhaps we may follow this continuing 200 moving average, this little doodle here. The continuing moving average, we may, straddle it for the next little while, because what else is there to do, right? For instance, we have another massive zombie corporation, GameStop, coming into the crypto sphere saying they're going to buy a ton of Bitcoin. That's the game theory, playing out. They realize it. And the game theory is almost like a slowly, then all of a sudden type of play out. So we'll see one. We saw Michael Saylor, John Travolta. Hey guys, I got this, this Bitcoin strategy. It's, I'm outperforming the entire market with this Bitcoin strategy I have. You should look at it, because I'm outperforming. NVIDIA. That giant success story. I outperformed it with this strategy. So maybe you should look at it. It may be worth your while. It was worth my while, because I was essentially a zombie. Actually, he would probably say it like this. I was a zombie corporation, and then I invested in the hardest asset known to mankind, the digital Manhattan, and now I've outperformed the entire S&P. Anyway, and then GameStop comes in, and then we'll see more and more and more and more and more. And I gotta tell you this: we're starting to get to that point on the boat where I'm literally on the other side of the boat, and everyone else is on this side. That's the bearish side. I like that. I feel actually quite natural when I'm over here and everyone's over there. You just got to read X. I mean, it's so bearish. It's incredible. But I don't know if it's, I like to say that the investors a little more sophisticated than they used to be, because they're, they've been here for a while, but I feel like it's so fragile. I mean, everyone's so fragile now. They literally can't handle a 30% drawback, which is fine. I get it. But it'll be interesting to see this play out because I just don't know how this mathematically works. So for instance, you have all the states, allegedly passing these bills. Let's just say they do. You have Donnie Trump trying to make Bitcoin or U.S. the Bitcoin superpower. You have that. So that in the states alone. Okay, where do they get the Bitcoin from, and when do they start buying? And if they do, what is the price? Because if we were just to go down the road of a normal diminishing return cycle, I would say that we're probably, at where we would be, maybe 120. I would say a top out at 120, which is kind of a 6x from the bottom. That would be under diminishing returns, a normal bull run. But God damn it, it's anything but normal. It's like can you imagine if just one of the dozen hella bullish fundamentals were in 2021? I just can't even imagine. So back to where these Bitcoins come from. You have the states. Let's just say, I don't know. Let's just say Texas. Just one, not half of them. Because we know once one has it, that's state game theory. Now, Nevada, if they're sitting on their hands going, well, we don't believe in this. We're not going to do it. And then all of a sudden Texas is running a deficitless utopia because of Bitcoin. Well, they just have to. And whoever's in last is basically the loser. So the game theory would say that this will play out. But let's just say it's just Texas, right? Or just one state. Where does the price go from there? Compounded with America, the U.S. government, that stockpile, well, allegedly 1 million. Where does that come from? I don't know. So that's just 2, And then we have Michael Saylor, GameStop. That's just 2. And I know, I actually have a pretty bad attitude sometimes when I see the posts on GameStop. It's like they're gonna buy 1.3 billion. I'm like, oh man, the price is gonna go down in this market anyway. But that's 2 massive corporations, just one state, and the U.S. government. So with the state game theory, you also have the nation state game theory. America starts buying. I'm surprised. Maybe they are on, I've heard this too. They're buying on the sly. Oh yeah? Is that why the price is dumping? So you have nation states aping in to Bitcoin and the price is going down. Is that what I'm supposed to believe now? Okay. Okay. I got you. I'll go with that. So nation states outside of one state, not 20 states getting Bitcoin. GameStop, MicroStrategy, and there's also BlackRock. These massive hedge funds opening up in Europe. That's a whole other thing. It doesn't really get a lot of press. I feel like press about Europe is like press about Canada. Like no one wants to hear what's going on. Canada's like the retarded brother now, right? Everything it does is the wrong move. But I've always said that. It's like, if there's one thing you can count on in Canada is the politicians making the wrong move because I don't think the Wicks are here today, but it comes down to my theory on big losers, right? A lot of the politicians in Canada are losers. Most politicians are, right? That's why they're politicians. They've lost in life. They've got some clout, maybe professionally as a lawyer or something, then they, slide into politics and they continue their life of being a loser. But losers make bad decisions. And that's why, so this is a weird Donnie Trump theory. I don't think Donald Trump's a loser. I think, in fact, in life, if you were to, dice up his accolades, so to speak, in the real world. Now I know, hey, he got $1 million from his dad. Okay, all right. That is, he started at the, farther than the woman's tee, you might say, on his first shot on the golf course. That being said, I think he did some amazing things in his life, and he had opportunities that come to normal people that, it's just, he gets him out of that, I'm a loser, I make bad decisions, because a lot of his life goals are fulfilled by his momentum, right? When it comes to politicians, their life goals don't get filled with their momentum, because no matter how powerful they are, they're still losers, and they never really, stop being losers. And then they make bad decisions. That's just how it goes. Anyway, we'll get off the loser thing. We are basically underneath our channel of dissension. So that was the big thing on Monday too, is like, you have these bullish setups. You have this cup and handle. You have this bull flag. And overarching is the channel of dissension. So what are you going to do? These things generally break bearish. So we broke bearish. Fish, how dare you misgender the woman's? What is it called if it's not the woman's tea? There's one thing, like, there, you will never hear me not call the woman's tea the woman's tea. If they're still there, I don't even know if they're there. Like, if they have such a problem with it, get rid of the woman's tea then. What would they call it if it's not the woman's tea? They probably have some stupid name for it. This isn't the woman's tea. This is the gender divergency or some bullshit like that. That they're going to come up with something. But although I think generally the diversity, perfect, Jimmy Coco, the diversity, yes. And imagine the people all the old dudes that don't care about this. They're like, well, why doesn't Gladys and Winifred there? They can they can shoot on the diversity. They'll never say that. They will say the woman's tea. It's kind of like a little rub, little bit of rub too. They old boomers like to do that. That's their lot in life for the remainder of their runway is to kind of rub people the wrong way. On the ding dong. We tried, and as hard as it was, we could not get above this channel of resistance. Support now acting as resistance. No, channel of eternal monotony. I apologize. We threw some long hair, don't care wicks up there, all for naught, because we just didn't have. It's not like we didn't have the bulls. It's just that we are in a certain degree of market equilibrium where nothing's going anywhere. I think, in this phase of the market, everyone just sits on their hands for announcements. So for instance, today should be kind of, under normal market conditions, I would expect hella volatility. There's 12 billion options expiring today. That's a lot. Then again, is it? Is 12 billion a lot now? I still live in a world where 12 billion in options expirations is a lot. Although, MicroStrategy buys billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, although they're not. So this is where I always get into the weeds. They're not buying it on the exchange. So it doesn't matter. They could say they bought 12 billion. They say, instead of letting these options expire, we decided to over-the-counter buy them all up. Right? Let's say they bought 12 billion and give or take 100 billion. Let's say they bought them. Nothing would change because they don't buy them on the exchange. So I guess to a certain degree, we are left here waiting for this, supply shock, which to me is now I can't even look at those thumbnails. I see thumbnails. I've used supply shock on my thumbnails in the past. I can't see them anymore. They almost trigger me when I see supply shock. I'm like, shut up with your supply shock. $6 billion worth in Bitcoin. Where's your supply shock? Right. We're getting edgy now. We're getting edgy. It's almost like we're hangry in the market. It's been a long time. We haven't had our dopamine. It's like, when was the last time we had our dopamine? Let's check when our last day of dopamine was to the upside. I would say maybe, well, March 2nd. Is that going to get the heart pumping? 84. It's a 10% candle. I mean, it's big when we're up around 100 grand. Unfortunately, the next day there was 10% candle to the downside. So it kind of, that increases the PTSD. But outside of that, when was the last? So that was March 2nd. March 2nd, about a month ago. Outside of that, I would say maybe here was a pretty decent day if we take in consideration this wick. You know, this is another 11% day. That was February 4th, a whole month before that. So keep in mind, you know, the theory is that we only get about 12 of these days. So far, that's one a month. And I'm not considering the bearish one. Let's get rid of this doodle here. What's going on here? And then, yeah, outside of that, well, I get, to me, the real dopamine, the real movement that sticks is the one that, you know, goes up and stays. You know, when you have these reversal candles, who cares, right? It went up 10%. But it went down 10% the next day. So I always use the boat analogy because I worked on a cruise ship. And I know that's not the most common job. But it reminds me of it because I was a casino dealer on a cruise ship, the Carnival Sunbird. Here we go. Onto a little bit of a tangent here. But I would always, at the end of my shift, I would go down to the staff deck, which was the lowest deck in the boat. It was right at the back. And now what most people don't know about cruise ships, this is 25 years ago. Oh my God, was it 25? Was it a quarter? Are you trying to tell me this was a quarter century? Yeah, it was. It was the year 2000 because we, you know, when we did the New Year's on the boat. Cue the tangent music. And anyway, no one wanted to go down to that deck that worked at the casino. And they didn't like it because there was Jamaicans there. Now, before everyone gets all weird, you have to understand that at that time on cruise ships, it was might as well have been the 1800s or the early 1900s or whatever the time portion was, because it was class system. There was class depending on your job, right? So if you had a certain job, you lived in a certain area of the boat and you ate in a certain area of the boat. If you had another job, like most of the Jamaicans, they're all from Jamaica. You know, I'm not just kind of generalizing them. They were just all from Jamaica. Maybe it's proximity to our cruise. And anyway, they worked in a different area. It's called deck and engine, which is underneath. No one really saw them. So thus they lived in different quarters and they ate in different quarters. So the long story short is when I was on this deck, everyone was afraid to go there because they thought, well, at that time of night, it's all the deck and engine crew. We'll just call them deck and engine crew from here on. Like all of them. And then you. And so when I mean you, I mean you're an American or a Canadian. Some Brits too. But essentially you were on your own there. And sometimes I have these weird thoughts. It's like, God, take your worst day of work and now you're on a cruise ship working in the deck and engine aspect of it. It's just a horrible job. It's hot, you know, it's stinky. Most people know this, but it stinks. There's a mess hall and it stinks on this cruise ship anyway. Maybe things are different. You think now I have nightmares like, man, they could have just thrown me overboard. Obviously not good. They're not murderers, but let's say they all had a bad day, or who knows? There's crazy people out there. What would have happened is that they would have threw me over, and two things would have happened. One, it was far enough that I'm in the Caribbean Sea. Yeah, so when I was saying Caribbean, it's like Caribbean or Caribbean. No, I always go by Billy Ocean. If Billy Ocean says Caribbean, it's good enough for me. That's Caribbean Queen. It's not Caribbean Queen, right? Right there. There, you know, Caribbean. I would have just been at sail. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe there's a chance that we are close enough to the shore, because they don't really go that far unless they're doing a sea day. And a sea day is like if they do this kind of curl, they go back to their home port. That's a sea day. So maybe that's deep enough into the ocean. But generally, you can always see it. That's why I always say the 20 moving average is like the shore on a cruise ship. But that would be the best case scenario, because what happens is that if you get thrown overboard close to the back, you're just pulverized by the turbine, or whatever that is. It'll just suck you up and turn you into first world American mincemeat. So that's how that works. So now I have a tiny bit of nightmares when I have it. I still have dreams where I'm on the cruise ship and I'm phoning my mom and my sister. I'm like, what the hell? Why did you let me go on this thing? Now, last thing about the cruise ship is that of all the industries I've been in, music, bar, nightclub, poker, what else have I been in? Is that it? And gambling. The majority, the propellers, that's right. The sickest, most savage partiers were cruise ship casino dealers. It was like the craziest group of alcoholics I've ever seen. It was just auctioning. Yeah. I wouldn't really say this was I was in the auctioning industry. I just came in one day a week for like the auction. So I didn't like, long story short, I wasn't really in the industry. I was just worked there one day a week. And apparently I heard that it might be even going away now. I haven't worked there in about 6 to 9 months. It's nice, easy money, but that's that. Anyway, for the last thing about the cruise ship, yeah, they were they were all such sick, degenerate drinkers, and so was I. I mean, it wasn't like I was fresh-eyed. Oh, well, everybody's drinking. I was drinking a lot too back then. I was 25 or something like that, and I was there with my girlfriend at the time. And anyway, after the casino closed, which was around 1 or 2. You know, there was always a sick, degenerate gambler that we'd have to kick out. It's like, Les and Lucy, I don't know how much money you want to lose, but you've been here all day. You know, let's start again tomorrow. And then they'd drift off, and then we'd be done. And we would spend from 1 till we hit port sometime, which was like 6 or 7, drinking in a little hallway. Can you believe that? Drinking in a hallway. Like a tiny hallway. You know, those cruise ships, they're not massive hallways, especially in the staff quarters. We would do that all night long. And I did that for 6 months. There's some crazy stories. We'll get into it another day. Sometimes these tangents go a long way. I'm not sure if I lose people, but if you want to hear the crazier stories on the cruise ship, maybe I'll tell it on Monday when the price doesn't move. So what we have here on the weekly is we are straddling the 50 moving average, or the 50% Fibonacci, which is it's very predictable that this time. It's a little bit of a shooting star candle on the weekly. Now, I think this would be incredibly bullish to close this candle green, because it would be the first time since we had that massive run up. Like, if you think about it, outside of this, which was November, might as well be 7 months ago. It was really a 3-week run with a little bit of a shooting star candle that started it, right? So that was arguably our fastest runs. It was zipped right through the 80s. We didn't even pit stop the 80s. It was sayonara sucker right through the 80s. Unfortunately, it was sayonara sucker right down through the 80s as well. So this is a low volume pocket. But if we were to, carve out definitely need a cruise ship story vid. Yeah. There are cruise ship story vid. It started, I don't know if it was because I was talking about the cruise ship once, but then my YouTube feed got filled up with, how much I make on a cruise ship, all these stories about cruise ships. So there's channels that, do 1,000 times better than this channel just based on cruise ship stories. Yeah, maybe I should switch it up. But if we were to close green on this, that would be 3 weeks in a row. We haven't seen that since our big pump in November. And although it's not the greatest 3 weeks, if we go wick to wick right now, 15%. So it's half of the rundown we would go. But still, it would tell the quant bots that we are in a bullish upward trend, which definitely does not happen. We haven't seen the quant bots that excited about anything in a long time. So that's what'll have to happen. And then with that three green candles in a week, might not be something, Sneaky Pete. She sure ain't nothing. Of course, we are going to run head first into all peepers on deck, so to speak. The cruise ship wanted to kick me off many times because you have to adhere to a naval structure. What I mean by that is it's very like, this is the officer, this is, the officer, the staff captain, this is the captain. I don't care, right? I'm a casino dealer. We are slightly untouchable because it's the big money maker is the casino, right? Everything else is kind of free, and then this is the money generator. So they generally left us. But I started getting this feud with. Can you imagine a feud with me? I'm just like a bird brain 25-year-old kid. Still had a chip on my shoulder when it came to authority. I've always had a chip on my shoulder when it came to authority. So for instance, like this is the staff captain. You have to salute him. Like what? Why? Are we at war here? Are we at a? This is a cruise ship. He just has a staff captain thing on his thing. When he gets off the ship, someone else puts the pin on, right? And anyway, I would always have to, I dealt craps, roulette, blackjack, and Caribbean poker. It's not really, I hated Caribbean poker. So I'd say, don't put me on Caribbean poker. It's so stupid. But when I did, the great thing about the cruise ship is that they encouraged you to practice. So when I was at a dead blackjack table, I would just practice counting cards. 1 1 2 2 2 1 0 1 2 1 0 0 0 1. You just get this plus or minus. And I got good at it. And that's when I came back off the cruise ship. Me and my buddy, who I bartended with, we would just go to the casino, and you're allowed to count cards. Like I could sit there with a calculator, but I could do it in my head. So we played double deck, which is kind of like the high stakes. I've told the story before. We're going to run right into 91.6. And this is where basically we're, you know the story. Nobody here is new. We come to this and we get rejected. We've done this 2 other times in the past bull run. Hit a high, get a dump, relief rally up to the 38.2% fib, and that's it for the bull market. Now there's been talk about this concept of a super cycle. And to a certain degree, I feel like it is a little bit of market hopium, because as we, extend out onto this rope that we can't hold on to called the bull market, I feel like that's what we're kind of feeling right now. We're like, well, what could it, maybe it could extend. Maybe it could extend. Yeah, maybe it could into a super cycle. But I did some kind of mathematique numbers, and essentially what we have is about a 1,480 day correction between bear market lows. So in 2022, I think, I can't remember what the day was, but it was 15.5. And then the exact same day, it's 1430 or 1480, I can't remember. In 2018, we hit that bear market low. So extrapolating remind me to finish this if I don't. Pianomattyb, are we putting too much hope in the QE money printers turning on? Well, yes and no. I think we are. All our eggs are in the money printer's basket. So it leads me to believe it's like, well, what are we doing here? Are we just front running the money printer and then live or die by that money printing machine? I guess so. But that's why Bitcoin came here, right? Like to front run the money printer. J Day says last cycle was a super cycle PSYOP as well. Most just wrecked 69, 53, 41, 15K. So when you take into consideration money debasement, I mean, this is a harsh reality. Being at 85.1, you take in monetary debasement, inflation. We're essentially mincing words at our all-time high in 2021 at 69K. I mean, we're only like, what, $15,000 away? You know, take into money debasement, inflation. We really haven't gone anywhere in 4 years. So that's another, you could find that bearish. I kind of put it in my bullish chapeau as still generally early. But at the end of the day, what I was getting at is that 1430 number puts us to October 16th, 2026. So if we were to follow those same patterns of 1430, I don't know, 1430, 1480, it doesn't matter, 50 days, who cares, a month or two. That will take us out to the next bear market low of October 16th. So let's just, we'll put that here just for posterity's sake. October 16th, 2026. I like to put these here just so we remember. I'll look at this probably next week and go, October 16th, 2026. Why the hell would I put that number? What does that even mean? Delete. Oh, I'll just stick her down here so we know. So I've been telling people that I know when they're asking about getting into the market, should I get in now? I'm like, well, if you have a long time horizon, yeah, because who cares? The price could go down another, 30%, but in the big scheme of things, you'll be glad you got in here when it's, umpteen thousand, whatever. But when I'm going to start loading in again, I'm basically kind of stacking for this time period, October 16th, 2026. And who knows, maybe the low, is where we are now. Maybe 80K becomes the low in, whatever that is, a year and a half. So yeah, E-Money, Kyle joining you tonight. Yes, he is. He is joining me tonight. I forgot to tell everybody that I will be going to the Las Vegas Bitcoin conference. So that's exciting. That just happened yesterday. So that will be super fun. I'll be playing piano there too, which is like, what else would I do, right? That's where I'm at home, is playing piano there. It's in a lounge. I think it's backstage or something like that. So it's going to be pretty fun. So let me know who's going there. If anyone on the stream right now is going to the Las Vegas convention, make sure we organize something where we can all kind of get together. And I don't know who wants to do that. There'll be a little organizer bunny in there somewhere. I'm not sure who it is. But whoever, let's, if for instance, yeah, I play poker, but I don't have the schedule yet. So I told them I will do whatever, like whatever the you need the sets throughout the day. I'll come and do sets throughout the day, but it's going to be fun because I'll play, when I see someone I know, I'll play some of these originals and stuff like that. But outside of that, if you can't make your way to that lounge, let's make sure that we organize some sort of meetup. I don't know where it is. Maybe, who knows? Maybe at the poker table, right? XRP 11.
Make sure you like and subscribe.